Hi, I'm Scott Campbell with Solve 3D.
And I'm Kevin Miller at Solve3D.
Kevin, so now that I've got my project set up and I've uploaded the data for the project, how do I go about adding other people so that they can go in and work with this data?
Yeah, so once you got your project all set up and you're happy with it, to invite users to the system, you got to go to the Management tab, which you can access on the left-hand side. And you're presented with a whole bunch of cards, but we're interested in user management here, so we're going to click that. You can also find it on the left-hand side if you need to access it that way. Once you're in here, by default, you're on the Invite User tab. So there's a couple ways of inviting users. The first one being by email address. It's a recommended way. And so you can type in the user's email. I'm just going to invite some random people here. If you want to invite multiple people at the same time, you just do a comma separated list. And once you get their email addresses, you can pick an optional expiration date. By default, there's no expiration date, but if you want to set one, you just unclick this checkbox and you can say they're good till the end of the month, meaning that they have access to the system until this date. If they try to access the system after that date, they'll get a notification saying to please contact their administrator. So at this point, I'm just going to turn it off. If you want, you can also invite users by username and password. This is like I said, it's an alternative way of doing it. You can still assign an email address, but in this case, if you invite by username and password, you're going to have to manually record that username and password and manually send it to those particular users that you want to be able to access the system. So I'm just going to go back to the ones that I had here before. And then once you got their email addresses and their expiration date set properly, now you got to assign project permissions. So in this case, I just have these two demo projects. So I'm going to give standard access to this one and collaborator access to this one. These licenses that you assign here, you got to make sure that you have licenses assigned to your organization. Say, for example, if you're going to assign collaborator access, make sure you have collaborator licenses assigned to the organization of that project.
And you probably want to keep track of the number of people you've assigned as admin too. I mean, you can't, too many cooks will spoil the broth, as they say, so you don't want to invite everybody in as an admin.
Yeah, so once you got your permissions set up and you're happy, you just hit invite users. And you'll get a notification here in the top right that they're invited successfully. Anybody you invited by email is going to get basically an invite email to their address. So I have one loaded here. This is similar to what it could look like. It may look a little different if you have some white label settings defined, but they're going to get an email with a link. The first time they log in and click this link, they're going to get asked to set up a username a password for their access. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, so that's how you add and set an expiry date and access level. What about if somebody, say, leaves the company and I need to remove them? How do I take somebody out of the system?
Yeah, so a very similar process. You go back into the user management tab and where we are exactly, and you can click the user management tab or the project permissions tab. So there's kind of two ways into the system. One is from the project perspective and one is from the user perspective. So in your scenario, if you're trying to remove someone from the system, say someone like Brad here, you just go to user management, you find Brad, you can click on him and see the projects he has access to. So you can either set an expiration date, set it to yesterday or today, and he won't have access anymore, or you can just simply click no permissions beside each of these projects. Click save. And then if we close this, you see that Brad's been removed. Alternatively, if you come at it from the project permissions and you just want to remove, say, a user from one particular project, you can click this project permissions tab, click on demo classification, and just remove their access that way. Click save. And,
so that keeps them in the system, but just takes them off of that particular project.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, that's great. We learned how to add a user and also remove a user. Thanks very much, Kevin.
No problem.